So you want to release a song, but you have no money.
Offspin Media Friends presents So, You Want to Be a Professional Musician? Hosted by Rajesh Ravi.
Hello, this is singer-songwriter and music producer Rajesh Ravi. And in today's episode, we're going to be talking about how to produce a song when you don't have money. Because if you're going to produce a song, you'll need to hire instrumentalists or a singer or a music programmer or arranger, music producer, sound engineer, and also pay money for a studio and some little amount for releasing the song. And what do you do when you don't have the money for these things? And this actually gives rise to another question, which we will get to in a bit. And for me to get to that question, I have to tell you an anecdote. So there was this singer songwriter friend of mine. He wanted to release a song, but again, had no money. So he worked on zero budget, recorded, produced everything at home. And he made me listen to the song. Now I heard it and I knew where he was coming from. I knew he didn't have a budget and all of those things. So I was listening to it from a point of view of, okay, this is a zero budget production. And I told him, like, yeah, I mean, for a zero budget production, this sounds pretty good. And he released the song. And one day I was hanging out at a friend's place with a bunch of other friends, and I just wanted to see what their reaction to this song would be. So I played them the song. And of course, keep in mind, none of these friends of mine are musicians. So I just played the song for them. And all of them, with all their varied music tastes and everything, they had a pretty unanimous response. All they said was, yeah, it's nice, but it sounds unprofessional. Like it sounds substandard. Some of them used the term production value, but the unanimous thing was, yeah, it kind of sounds unprofessional and substandard. And yeah, I don't think we're going to listen to the song again. And this is what gives rise to the second question. If you don't have the money or the budget to produce a song, should you even produce a song? Well, based on the story I said, the answer seems like an outright no. However, there are two situations in which I would say yes. So let's have a look at the first situation. The first situation is very simple. You probably do have money for producing a song, you just don't realize it. And this is very simple. Just note down all your leisure expenses, like money that you spend on outings like food, movies, drinks, vacation, whatever it is, and see if you can cut down some of those expenses and save up that money for producing a song. To have enough money to be able to afford good musicians or a good singer or a good producer, good sound engineer, go to a good studio, things like that. So that's pretty simple and straightforward. However, what if you do all of that and realize that even after cutting down your spends, there's not much you can save up? Well, that's scenario two, for which there also is a solution. So, when you absolutely don't have the money to afford the kind of collaborators you want to work with, what do? It's actually a lot simpler than you think. Just approach them. You'll be surprised at the number of top tier musicians and producers and engineers willing to work for lesser pay or even for free for a newcomer if they like your song or if they like you as a person. So it's that simple. Well, it's not that simple, of course, because the more experienced they are, the lesser the probability of them saying yes to you for something like this. And even if they do say yes to you, or even if you manage to find someone, say, who's not super experienced or doesn't have a lot of industry clout, but are good at what they do. So there, the chances of them saying yes to something like this is higher. But in all of these cases, the problem is your work will always be put on a back burner because they have to give priority and time for gigs that are paying them. So your song is going to take a lot longer to finally produce than you think, but it can get done. But again, the key thing here is they have to like your song or like you as a person or both. So now what happens if they don't like your song or if they don't like you as a person? I mean, it's possible, right? So now what do? You have no money and you have no one willing to work for you for zero money. Well, yeah. So in this case, the answer is an obvious no. Because now, if we go back to that story I told you in the beginning, a lay listener doesn't really care about your backstory. They don't care that you had no money for production or you've done this on zero budget. And it doesn't really matter to a consumer of art because they just want to hear good songs or what they think are good songs. And another thing you need to consider here is that most people are listening to well produced music all the time since childhood. So the second they hear something that's of substandard production quality or any kind of substandard quality, they may not be able to articulate it, but they know when they know. And yeah, you may not have spent any money on your song, but you have spent time on it. So, all of that time and effort that you put into the song goes to waste. What you'd rather do is just wait and save up some money till you can afford the kind of people you want to collaborate with, or keep approaching more and more people who would be willing to work for you for a lesser cost. To sum it up, if you're going to put a song out there that has your name on it, you'd rather put out the best possible version of that song. Because remember, nobody gives a shit about your backstory. All they care about is the end product.
You just listened to So You Want to Be a Professional Musician, hosted by Rajesh Ravi, produced by Offspin Media Friends. This podcast is live pretty much everywhere, on Spotify, on Amazon Music, on Apple Podcasts, on Audible, on Ghana, on Savan, on Wink, and pretty much any other podcasting platform we could think of. Share it with a friend that you think just has to listen to this podcast. And if you don't mind, give the Offspin team a like, maybe a subscribe on their Instagram page. Keep listening to Offspin content and keep listening.
The opinions expressed in this show are personal to the guests and the host and do not necessarily represent the opinions of the producer or the platform. This show does not intend to defame and denigrate any individual or organization in India or outside. The show is created for entertainment purposes only. It does not encourage smoking, drinking, or any kind of substance use. It may contain the use of harsh language that may be considered offensive, rude, or profane by the listeners. It may also contain incidents that mention or describe mental health issues, casteism, suicide, and violence. Listeners are advised to use their discretion.